Ladies and gentlemen, life is suffering. That is an ancient truth, one we've known for millennia. And yet, what makes that suffering unbearable, what traps us in despair, is not merely the hardship itself, but the way we think about it. When you allow negative thoughts to dominate your mind, you don't just see the world as broken, you become broken. You weaken yourself, you surrender to chaos, and worst of all, you rob yourself of the responsibility to act, to strive, to improve. But there is an antidote. There is a way out, and it begins with a choice, a commitment to stop feeding the darkness and start orienting yourself toward the light. Because what you think matters. It shapes your perception, and your perception shapes your reality. So tonight I want to challenge you to stop indulging in destructive thought patterns, to stop seeing yourself as a helpless victim of circumstance, and to start taking control. To stand up straight with your shoulders back and face the world with courage. Because your life, your very potential depends on it. Your thoughts shape your reality in ways far more profound than you might realize. Every single moment, your mind is processing information, filtering the world through a lens that is uniquely yours. That lens is crafted by your beliefs, past experiences, and most importantly, the thoughts you choose to entertain. When you constantly engage in negative thinking, you are not merely observing the world as dark or hostile. You are actively constructing that version of reality for yourself. Consider this. The brain is a pattern recognition machine. It seeks out what it expects to find. If you tell yourself that people are untrustworthy, that life is unfair, that you are doomed to failure, your brain will work tirelessly to confirm those beliefs. It will notice every slight, magnify every setback, and ignore any evidence to the contrary. This is known as the confirmation bias, and it is one of the most powerful forces shaping human perception. Negativity, when repeated often enough, becomes a habit, a reflexive way of seeing the world. It seeps into your subconscious, influencing your emotions, decisions, and even physical health. When you dwell on negative thoughts, your body responds as if you are under real threat. Your stress hormones surge, your muscles tense, and your nervous system enters a heightened state of alertness. Over time, this prolonged stress response wears you down, leading to anxiety, fatigue, and even chronic illness. But it's not just about biology. Negative thinking also dictates your actions, or rather your inaction. If you believe you are incapable, you won't try. If you see the world as cruel and indifferent, you won't take risks. If you think no one cares, you won't reach out. This becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy. Your thoughts create a reality where you remain stuck, isolated, and paralyzed by fear. Even language plays a crucial role in shaping your perception. The words you use to describe yourself and your circumstances determine how you experience them. If you constantly say, I'm stupid, I'm unlucky, or nothing ever goes right for me, you reinforce those beliefs. Your mind accepts these statements as truths and acts accordingly. Conversely, if you deliberately shift your language, saying, I'm learning, I have opportunities, or I can figure this out, you begin to alter the way you perceive yourself and your potential. This isn't about blind optimism or denying reality. It's about choosing a perspective that serves you instead of one that cripples you. The world is full of challenges, but it is also full of opportunities. The same situation can be seen as an insurmountable problem or as a challenge to overcome, depending on how you frame it. Two people can go through identical hardships. One emerges stronger, the other falls apart. The difference? Mindset. Your mind is not just a passive observer of reality, it is an active participant in creating it. The stories you tell yourself dictate your future. If you believe you can grow, you will seek out knowledge. If you believe effort pays off, you will keep pushing forward. If you believe failure is part of the process, you won't be afraid to try. You might argue that circumstances matter, that some people are born into more privilege, fewer hardships, or better environments, and that is undeniably true. But history has shown us time and time again that the human spirit is capable of rising above almost any condition. Viktor Frankl, a Holocaust survivor, wrote in Man's Search for Meaning that even in the darkest of places, those who maintained a sense of purpose and control over their thoughts were able to endure unimaginable suffering. He argued that the last of human freedoms is the ability to choose one's attitude in any given set of circumstances. This is why the most powerful thing you can do for yourself is to take control of your internal dialogue. Becoming aware of your thoughts is the first step. Most people let their minds run on autopilot, allowing negativity to dictate their emotional state. But once you start questioning your thoughts, asking, is this true? Is this useful? Is this helping me move forward? You begin to break free from their grip. Training your mind is like training a muscle. It takes deliberate effort. Just as you wouldn't expect to build strength by lifting weights once, you can't expect to shift your mindset overnight. It requires consistent practice, replacing self-defeating thoughts with empowering ones, catching yourself in moments of doubt and redirecting your focus towards solutions rather than problems. Surrounding yourself with the right influences also plays a critical role. The people you spend time with, the books you read, the media you consume, all of these shape your thought patterns. If you constantly engage with negativity, whether through toxic relationships or endless doom scrolling on social media, you reinforce a worldview that keeps you stuck. But if you expose yourself to uplifting ideas, people who inspire you, and challenges that force you to grow, you begin to shift the narrative in your mind. None of this means ignoring the real difficulties of life. Hardship is inevitable. But what you tell yourself about that hardship determines whether you remain crushed under its weight or rise above it. When you take control of your thoughts, you take control of your reality. Negative thinking weakens you in ways that are both visible and invisible, affecting your mind, body, and behavior. When you constantly entertain negative thoughts, you create a mental environment that is hostile to growth, resilience, and progress. It's not just a matter of feeling bad. It's a matter of systematically disempowering yourself, making it harder to take action, make decisions, and see opportunities that exist around you. The mind, when left unchecked, becomes a breeding ground for doubt, fear, and inertia, all of which prevent you from moving forward in life. Your brain is wired to respond to perceived threats. This is a survival mechanism deeply ingrained in human nature. When you think negatively, your brain doesn't distinguish between a real physical danger and an imagined one. It reacts as if the threat is immediate and urgent. This triggers the release of stress hormones like cortisol and adrenaline, which in small amounts are necessary for alertness and reaction. However, when negative thinking becomes chronic, your body remains in this heightened state for prolonged periods. Over time, this takes a toll on your physical health, leading to increased anxiety, weakened immune function, higher blood pressure, and even digestive issues. Your body becomes tense, fatigued, and more susceptible to illness simply because your mind is constantly perceiving danger where none exists. Beyond the physical consequences, negative thinking deeply impacts your emotions and mental well-being. When your mind is filled with thoughts of failure, rejection, or inadequacy, your emotions follow suit. You feel drained, hopeless, and stuck. You may notice that your motivation disappears, your confidence shrinks, and your ability to enjoy life fades. Negative thoughts distort reality, making challenges seem larger than they are and convincing you that your efforts are futile. This leads to a cycle of inaction. The more you think negatively, the less likely you are to take positive steps forward. The less action you take, the more evidence your mind gathers to justify those negative thoughts. One of the most damaging effects of persistent negative thinking is the erosion of self-trust. When you repeatedly tell yourself that you are incapable, unworthy, or destined to fail, you start believing it. Your mind becomes your worst enemy, constantly reinforcing the idea that you are not good enough. This weakens your ability to take risks, step out of your comfort zone, or pursue goals with confidence. You become hesitant, second-guessing every decision, and fearing that no matter what you do, it won't be enough. The world does not need to tell you that you are failing because you are already telling yourself that every single day. Negative thinking also alters your perception of reality. If you believe the world is against you, you will interpret neutral or even positive events as proof that your belief is correct. A delayed response from a friend becomes a sign that they don't care. A minor setback at work becomes confirmation that you are not good enough. Your brain actively filters information to match your dominant mindset, ignoring anything that contradicts your negative view. This creates a distorted version of reality where everything appears worse than it actually is. The result is a sense of helplessness, as if no matter what you do, nothing will change. Your relationships are not immune to the effects of negative thinking. When your mind is consumed by doubt and fear, you project those emotions onto others. You may become overly defensive, expecting criticism where none exists. You may isolate yourself, assuming that others don't want to be around you. You may push people away by constantly focusing on what is wrong rather than what is right. Over time, this damages your connections, reinforcing feelings of loneliness and disconnect. People who might have supported you may distance themselves because negativity can be emotionally exhausting to those around you. Your ability to solve problems and make decisions is also compromised when negative thinking dominates your mind. When faced with a challenge, instead of seeking solutions, you dwell on worst-case scenarios. You hesitate, overanalyze, and avoid taking action out of fear of failure. This mental paralysis prevents you from making progress, keeping you stuck in a cycle of indecision and regret. Instead of viewing problems as opportunities to learn and grow, you see them as confirmation that nothing ever goes right for you. This prevents you from developing resilience, a key trait needed to navigate life's inevitable difficulties. Negative thinking doesn't just affect your present, it shapes your future. The more you dwell on self-defeating thoughts, the more likely you are to behave in ways that align with those thoughts. If you believe you are incapable of success, you will not put in the effort required to succeed. If you believe you are unworthy of happiness, you may unconsciously sabotage situations that bring you joy. Your future is being written by the thoughts you entertain today, whether you realize it or not. Your internal dialogue matters. The way you speak to yourself determines how you feel, how you act, and ultimately what kind of life you build. When your thoughts are filled with doubt, fear, and self-criticism, you weaken your ability to thrive. But when you recognize the destructive nature of negative thinking, you gain the power to challenge and change it. The mind, when trained properly, can become your greatest tool instead of your greatest obstacle. Taking responsibility for your mindset is one of the most important steps toward personal growth and resilience. Many people believe that their thoughts are automatic, uncontrollable reactions to the world around them. But this is not true. While external circumstances influence your thoughts, they do not dictate them. You have the ability to shape, redirect, and take ownership of your mental patterns. This responsibility is both a burden and a gift because it means that you are not a passive victim of your own mind. Instead, you are its architect, capable of constructing a mindset that serves you rather than one that holds you back. The first step in taking responsibility for your mindset is recognizing that your thoughts are not necessarily facts. Just because you think something does not make it true. The human brain is filled with biases, distortions, and conditioned responses that influence how we perceive reality. Thoughts arise from past experiences, fears, insecurities, and cultural conditioning, but they do not define you. If you assume that every negative thought is a reflection of reality, you give those thoughts unnecessary power. Instead, you must learn to question them, challenge them, and replace them with perspectives that empower rather than weaken you. One of the most common excuses people use to avoid taking control of their mindset is blaming external circumstances. It is easy to say that you are negative because of your past, your environment, or the difficulties you face. While these factors shape your experience, they do not have absolute control over your thoughts unless you allow them to. Two people can go through the same hardship and come out with completely different perspectives. One becomes bitter and defeated, while the other becomes stronger and more determined. The difference lies not in what happened to them, but in how they chose to interpret it. Taking responsibility for your mindset also means understanding that emotions follow thoughts, not the other way around. If you constantly entertain negative thoughts, you will feel negative emotions. If you cultivate thoughts of possibility, resilience, and gratitude, your emotional state will shift accordingly. Many people wait for their emotions to change before they change their thinking, but this is the wrong approach. Your mind must lead and your emotions will follow. If you want to feel more confident, you must first think like a confident person. If you want to feel hopeful, you must first choose thoughts that align with hope. The discipline of managing your mindset is what ultimately shifts your emotional well-being. A powerful way to take responsibility for your mindset is by becoming aware of the language you use, both internally and externally. The words you repeat to yourself shape your perception of reality. If you constantly say, I can't do this, I'm not good enough, or nothing ever works out for me, you reinforce those beliefs. These statements become ingrained in your identity, making it even harder to break free from limiting thought patterns. Instead, you must train yourself to speak in a way that supports growth and resilience. Replacing I can't with I will figure it out, or this is too hard with, this is a challenge I can overcome, creates a shift in how you approach difficulties. Another crucial aspect of taking responsibility for your mindset is filtering the information and influences you allow into your mind. If you surround yourself with negativity, whether through toxic relationships, social media, or constant exposure to pessimistic perspectives, your mindset will reflect that. Your brain absorbs what it is repeatedly exposed to. This is why it is essential to be intentional about what you consume. If you fill your mind with empowering ideas, read books that challenge you, and associate with people who uplift and inspire you, your mental framework will begin to shift in a positive direction. Developing the habit of mindfulness is another key element in taking ownership of your thoughts. Most people go through life on autopilot, reacting to their thoughts without questioning them. Mindfulness allows you to observe your thoughts objectively without immediately attaching to them. When you become aware of a negative thought, you gain the power to pause, analyze it, and decide whether or not to accept it. This practice creates distance between you and your mental patterns, giving you the ability to redirect your focus toward thoughts that align with your goals and values. Your goals and values. Taking responsibility for your mindset also requires a commitment to continuous learning and self-improvement. Growth does not happen by accident. It requires effort, introspection, and a willingness to challenge deeply ingrained beliefs. People who take ownership of their thoughts actively seek knowledge, expose themselves to new ideas, and push themselves beyond their comfort zones. They do not settle for mediocrity because they understand that their mindset is a work in progress. This level of responsibility can feel overwhelming, but it is also liberating because it means you are in control of your personal evolution. Personal responsibility in thinking is not about ignoring difficulties or pretending that challenges do not exist. It is about choosing how you respond to those challenges. Life will always present obstacles, but your interpretation of those obstacles determines whether they become barriers or stepping stones. The moment you stop blaming external factors and start focusing on how you choose to think, you reclaim the power to shape your future. Challenging destructive narratives is essential for breaking free from negative thinking and reclaiming control over your mind. The stories you tell yourself about who you are, what you are capable of, and how the world works shape your actions, emotions, and ultimately your life. Many people unknowingly operate under limiting beliefs that have been ingrained in them from childhood, past failures, or external influences. These narratives often go unchallenged, dictating behavior and reinforcing patterns of self-sabotage. To change your reality, you must first recognize and dismantle the negative stories you have accepted as truth. Every person carries an internal dialogue that runs continuously throughout the day. This dialogue is shaped by past experiences, cultural conditioning, and deeply held beliefs. When this dialogue is predominantly negative, it reinforces a mindset that keeps you stuck. For example, if you repeatedly tell yourself, "I'm not smart enough, I always fail," or "I don't deserve success," these statements become ingrained in your identity. You begin to behave in ways that align with these beliefs, whether consciously or unconsciously. Over time, they become self-fulfilling prophecies, not because they are true, but because you have accepted them as truth without questioning. One of the most powerful steps in challenging destructive narratives is identifying where they come from. Many of these beliefs were not consciously chosen, but absorbed from family, society, or past experiences. A person who grew up in an environment where failure was met with harsh criticism may develop a deep fear of making mistakes. Someone who is constantly compared to others may believe they are never good enough, no matter what they achieve. Recognizing that these narratives were imposed rather than chosen allows you to create space between your identity and these limiting beliefs. You are not obligated to continue carrying a story that does not serve you. Another way to challenge destructive narratives is to examine the evidence. Often negative beliefs persist because they go unchallenged. If you believe you are incapable, ask yourself, what proof do I have that this is true? More often than not, you will find that these beliefs are based on isolated experiences rather than objective reality. Even if you have failed in the past, it does not mean you are doomed to fail in the future. Looking at times when you have succeeded, overcome obstacles, or learned new skills can provide counter evidence that weakens the grip of negative narratives. Destructive narratives also thrive on generalization and absolutes. Words like always and never are commonly found in self-defeating thoughts. I always mess things up. I will never be good at this. These sweeping statements distort reality, making challenges seem permanent rather than temporary. Replacing these with more balanced perspectives is crucial. Instead of saying, "I always fail," a more accurate statement would be, "I have failed in the past, but I have also succeeded, and I can improve." This shift in language reframes failure as part of the learning process rather than as a defining characteristic. Another method for challenging destructive narratives is changing the way you speak to yourself. And many people talk to themselves in ways they would never speak to another person. If a friend made a mistake, you would likely encourage them, reminding them that failure is part of growth. Yet when you make a mistake, you may berate yourself, calling yourself incompetent or worthless. This internal harshness reinforces negativity and makes it harder to move forward. Practicing self-compassion by speaking to yourself with kindness and understanding creates a mental environment that fosters resilience rather than self-punishment. Your brain is constantly reinforcing the narrative you focus on, making it essential to consciously redirect your thoughts. If you repeatedly tell yourself that you are powerless, your brain will filter the world in a way that confirms that belief. However, if you begin to focus on moments of strength, perseverance, and achievement, your brain will start identifying patterns of capability instead of inadequacy. This is why affirmations and positive reinforcement, when used consistently, can reshape the way you perceive yourself. Another important aspect of challenging negative narratives is surrounding yourself with influences that support a healthier mindset. If you are constantly exposed to people who reinforce limiting beliefs or environments that breed negativity, your efforts to change your thinking will be met with resistance. Seeking out mentors, books, and communities that promote growth-oriented thinking can help reinforce new perspectives and weaken the grip of old narratives. Reframing past experience is also a powerful tool for rewriting destructive narratives. Many people carry the weight of past failures, rejections, or painful experiences that have shaped their identity. Instead of seeing these moments as proof of inadequacy, they can be reframed as valuable lessons. Every failure teaches something. Every hardship builds resilience. Shifting from a victim mentality to a mindset of growth allows you to reinterpret the past in a way that empowers rather than diminishes you. Fear is one of the strongest forces that sustain negative narratives. Fear of failure, rejection, or the unknown keeps people locked in the same patterns. Many avoid taking risks or pursuing goals because they believe the worst-case scenario will come true. However, when examined closely, fear is often based on exaggerated assumptions rather than reality. Confronting fears head-on, taking small steps toward change, and proving to yourself that you can handle discomfort weakens the hold that fear-based narratives have on your mind. The mind is incredibly adaptable. Just as it has learned to accept negative narratives, it can learn to adopt empowering ones. The key is consistency and intentional effort. The more you challenge destructive beliefs, the weaker they become. The more you reinforce new, constructive narratives, the stronger they grow. Recognizing that you have the power to shape your thoughts rather than being ruled by them is the first step toward true mental freedom. Rewiring your mind for positivity is not about ignoring reality or pretending that difficulties do not exist. It is about training your brain to interpret challenges in a way that empowers you rather than weakens you. The way you think determines how you feel, and how you feel influences the actions you take. If you allow negative thinking to dominate your mind, you will approach life with fear, hesitation, and self-doubt. But if you make a conscious effort to cultivate positive thought patterns, you will develop resilience, confidence, and the ability to navigate life's difficulties with strength. The human brain is naturally wired to focus on the negative. This is an evolutionary trait that once helped humans survive. Thousands of years ago, those who were hyper-aware of threats had a better chance of avoiding danger and staying alive. However, in today's world, this tendency to focus on the negative often does more harm than good. It causes people to dwell on their mistakes, fixate on what is wrong, and expect the worst even when there is no logical reason to do so. If left unchecked, this negativity bias can become a default way of thinking, making it difficult to see opportunities, appreciate progress, or feel a sense of hope. The first step in rewiring your mind for positivity is developing awareness of your thought patterns. Most people go through life without questioning the thoughts that pass through their minds. They assume that whatever they think must be true simply because they thought it. But the mind is filled with distortions, assumptions, and conditioned responses that are not necessarily accurate. By becoming aware of your thoughts, you create the ability to step back and evaluate them. Instead of automatically accepting negative thoughts, you can begin to challenge them, ask where they come from, and decide whether they are useful or harmful. One effective way to cultivate positive thinking is by practicing gratitude. The brain cannot focus on negativity and gratitude at the same time. When you deliberately shift your focus to what you appreciate, you train your mind to look for the good in every situation. This does not mean ignoring problems or pretending that hardships do not exist. It means acknowledging that even in difficult moments, there is something to be grateful for. Keeping a gratitude journal where you write down a few things each day that you appreciate helps rewire your brain to focus on what is working rather than what is lacking. Another powerful strategy for rewiring your mind is visualization. Your brain responds to mental images almost as if they were real experiences. When you repeatedly visualize success, confidence, and positive outcomes, your brain begins to align with those expectations. Many top athletes, performers, and successful individuals use visualization as a tool to mentally prepare for challenges and reinforce a winning mindset. By regularly picturing yourself overcoming obstacles, achieving your goals, and handling difficulties with strength, you condition your mind to believe in your ability to succeed. Affirmations are another technique that can help reshape your thinking. The words you repeatedly say to yourself become embedded in your subconscious mind. If you constantly tell yourself that you are not good enough, not capable, or destined to fail, your mind will look for evidence to confirm those beliefs. However, if you consistently affirm statements that reflect confidence, resilience, and self-worth, your mind will begin to align with those beliefs instead. It is important that affirmations are not just empty words, but statements that you reinforce with action. Saying I am strong and capable while actively taking steps to improve yourself reinforces the belief more powerfully than words alone. The company you keep also plays a crucial role in shaping your mindset. If you surround yourself with negativity, whether through people, media, or environments, it becomes much harder to maintain a positive outlook. The energy and perspectives of those around you influence your own thinking. Seeking out individuals who encourage growth, support your goals, and challenge you to think in constructive ways can make a significant difference. Being mindful of the kind of content you consume, whether books, news, or social media, also helps create an environment that nurtures positivity rather than undermines it. Rewiring your mind for positivity also requires shifting how you interpret challenges and setbacks. Many people see difficulties as signs of failure, reasons to quit, or proof that they are not good enough. However, those who develop a resilient mindset view challenges as opportunities for growth. Instead of asking, why is this happening to me? They ask, what can I learn from this? Reframing obstacles in this way prevents discouragement and builds the mental strength needed to keep moving forward. One of the biggest obstacles to maintaining a positive mindset is the fear of failure. Many people avoid taking risks, trying new things, or pursuing goals because they fear they will not succeed. However, failure is not the opposite of success. It is part of the process. Every successful person has experienced setbacks, but what sets them apart is their willingness to learn from those experiences rather than be defined by them. Viewing failure as feedback rather than a final verdict allows you to continue growing, adjusting, and improving. The practice of mindfulness also plays a critical role in rewiring your mind. Negative thinking often arises from dwelling on the past or worrying about the future. Mindfulness trains you to stay present, focusing on what is happening right now rather than getting lost in fears or regrets. Developing a habit of mindfulness, whether through meditation, deep breathing, or simply bringing awareness to your thoughts, helps break the cycle of automatic negativity and brings greater clarity to your thinking. It requires consistency, effort, and a willingness to challenge deeply ingrained habits. The more you consciously choose to focus on empowering thoughts, the easier it becomes for your brain to default to positivity rather than negativity. Over time, the effort you put into reshaping your thinking will manifest in greater confidence, stronger resilience, and a mindset that allows you to face life's challenges with determination rather than doubt. Taking consistent action toward positive thinking is the key to transforming your mindset and ultimately your life. Many people understand the importance of changing their thoughts, but they struggle to maintain the discipline needed to make that change last. They fall back into old habits, allowing negativity to creep in whenever they face difficulties. The problem is not that they lack the ability to think positively, but that they have not yet committed to practicing it daily. Just as physical fitness requires regular exercise, mental fitness requires consistent effort. Without sustained action, even the best intentions fade, leaving people stuck in the same patterns of doubt, fear, and negativity. One of the biggest misconceptions about changing your mindset is the belief that it happens instantly. People expect a single moment of inspiration to transform the way they think permanently. But real change does not come from a one-time decision. It comes from repeated action. Every day you make choices about what thoughts you entertain, what perspectives you adopt, and how you respond to challenges. These small decisions may seem insignificant in the moment, but over time they accumulate, shaping your mental habits and determining the trajectory of your life. One of the most effective ways to take consistent action toward positive thinking is by setting clear, intentional habits that reinforce a constructive mindset. Just as you would schedule time to exercise, eat healthy, or learn a new skill, you must make time to train your mind. This could include practices such as daily gratitude reflection, journaling, reading positive material, or listening to uplifting content. The goal is to create routines that make positive thinking a natural and automatic part of your day, rather than something you only do when you feel inspired. Your environment plays a critical role in your ability to maintain a positive mindset. If you surround yourself with negativity, it becomes much harder to stay on track. This is why it is important to be intentional about the influences you allow into your life. Now, pay attention to the people you interact with, the media you consume, and the conversations you engage in. If you constantly expose yourself to negativity, your brain will absorb it, making it more difficult to maintain an optimistic perspective. On the other hand, if you fill your mind with empowering ideas, encouraging relationships, and constructive discussions, positivity will become your default state. Another crucial aspect of taking consistent action is challenging negative thoughts in real time. It is not enough to simply recognize when you are thinking negatively. You must actively replace those thoughts with better ones. This requires a level of self-awareness and discipline that takes practice. When you catch yourself slipping into self-doubt, anxiety, or pessimism, take a moment to stop and question those thoughts. Ask yourself whether they are based on facts or just assumptions. Consider alternative perspectives that empower rather than weaken you. This habit of mental correction is what gradually shifts your mindset from one of limitation to one of possibility. Affirmations can also be a powerful tool when practiced consistently. The way you speak to yourself matters, and the words you use shape your beliefs. If you repeatedly tell yourself that you are not good enough, that things never work out for you, or that you will never change, your mind will accept those statements as truth. However, if you consistently affirm positive, growth-oriented beliefs, they will eventually take root and reshape your self-perception. The key is repetition. Affirmations must be practiced daily, not just when you feel motivated. Writing them down, speaking them aloud, or incorporating them into meditation can make them even more effective. Physical movement and health also play a role in maintaining a positive mindset. The mind and body are deeply connected, and neglecting one affects the other. Exercise has been proven to reduce stress, boost mood, and increase mental clarity. Simple activities such as walking, stretching, or deep breathing can help clear negative energy and reset your thinking. Likewise, getting enough sleep, staying hydrated, and eating nutritious foods contribute to a stable and resilient mind. When your body is well cared for, maintaining a positive outlook becomes much easier. Consistency in positive thinking also requires patience. Many people give up too soon because they do not see immediate results. They expect to feel different right away, and when they do not, they assume it is not working. But just like building muscle in the gym, strengthening your mind takes time. You may not notice the changes at first, but if you stay committed, they will become evident. It is essential to trust the process and remain dedicated, even on days when it feels like nothing is changing. One of the biggest challenges in maintaining a positive mindset is dealing with setbacks. Life is unpredictable, and no matter how much you train your mind, you will still face difficulties. The difference between those who thrive and those who fall back into negativity is how they handle these moments. People who commit to positive thinking understand that setbacks are not permanent failures, but temporary obstacles. Instead of allowing difficulties to derail them, they use them as opportunities to reinforce their mindset. They remind themselves that struggles are part of growth and that they have the ability to overcome them. Accountability is another important factor in staying consistent. It is easy to fall into old patterns when no one is watching. This is why it helps to have a support system, people who encourage you, challenge you, and hold you to your commitments. Finding a mentor, joining a community of like-minded individuals, or simply sharing your a trusted friend can make a significant difference. When you surround yourself with people who are also striving for growth, their energy reinforces your own commitment to maintaining a strong mindset. Taking consistent action toward positive thinking is about making a commitment to yourself every single day. It is not a one-time effort or a short-term fix. It is a lifelong practice. By building habits that support mental resilience, surrounding yourself with the right influences, challenging negative thoughts, and staying patient through the process, you create a foundation for lasting change. Every small effort adds up, and over time your mind will transform, allowing you to approach life with confidence, strength, and a deep belief in your own ability to shape your future.